The person that sent me the story called it my strange experience at an ancient stone circle in Ireland. By the way, if you have a story that you'd like to share with our glitch community about glitches in the Matrix, dreams, aliens, cryptids, or the paranormal, you can send it to this email address. And remember, we believe you. Hi, Auntie Matrix. Hi! I have a really strange story, and I'm wondering if it's possible I somehow experienced a timeline shift. It is 1000% possible. I live in a county in Ireland where there's an ancient stone circle. I walk the circle most mornings before work because I find it calming. It helps me clear my mind and center myself before a busy day. Just before midnight on the 16th of July, my daughter, 19, who struggles with anxiety and depression, asked if we could go for a late night drive. We do this from time to time because it helps calm her down and it usually helps her sleep afterwards. Since it was such a clear night, I suggested that we drive out to the stone circle to do a bit of stargazing. It's deep in the countryside, so there's almost no light pollution. The roads were incredibly quiet on that drive. On the way there, we passed a clearing where we both noticed the moon. It was a waxing crescent, but it looked unusually bright and much larger than we expected. We both commented on how beautiful it looked before continuing on. When we arrived at the stone circle, the first thing we noticed was how silent everything was. There wasn't a sound. Because of how dark it was at the circle, we had to use torches from our phones to help guide us. Hold on one sec. Do you in Ireland call your phone flashlight a torch? Or is torch just like the word for flashlight in general? We stepped inside the circle and began walking around it clockwise, touching each stone as we went. Apparently, you're supposed to do this to please the fairies. I do this walk at least twice a week, and nothing there has ever made me stop or question anything before. Then my daughter suddenly said, "One of the stones is missing." I was surprised because these stones have stood there for thousands of years. Some of them are enormous. You'd need heavy machinery to move even one. We walked over to where it should have been. At first, my daughter suggested maybe it had been removed so a tractor could get into the field, but then I shone my torch from my phone onto the ground. There was a grass growing exactly where the stone should have been. That didn't make sense to me. If the stone had recently been removed, shouldn't there have been disturbed earth or mud? Instead, it looked as though the stone had never been there. We continued walking around the circle, but both of us started feeling increasingly uneasy. It honestly felt as though we were being watched, like people were standing on the opposite side of the circle watching us. Every time we'd shine our lights in that direction, strange shadows would fall across the remaining stones. We never actually saw anyone, but the feeling was intense enough that we both noticed it. Eventually, we sat down inside the circle to look at the stars. Even then, neither of us could shake the feeling that we weren't alone. After a few minutes, I suggested that we head back to the car. As we were leaving, I remembered wanting to take the photo of the moon for my Instagram. We walked back out onto the road. The moon was gone. The sky was perfectly clear. No clouds, nothing blocking our view. Earlier, it had been high enough that we both expected to see it, but it simply wasn't there. We shrugged it off and spent a few minutes watching the stars instead while leaning on the bonnet of the car. Is the bonnet the hood? I love learning words from other countries that you guys use. Then a bat flew directly above our heads, and my daughter laughed and said, "That's enough for tonight, let's go." On the drive home, we reached the same clearing where we'd first admired the moon. I pulled over because I thought surely we'd see it from here. Still nothing. We searched the sky, but the moon had completely disappeared. The drive home takes about 30 minutes, and during the entire journey, neither of us saw the moon again. That alone was strange. But the really unsettling part happened the following morning. I woke up with a vivid memory that the stone had actually been missing a year prior. I remember noticing it not long after last year's summer solstice, around the first time I started regularly visiting the stone circle. The problem is, I know I never remembered that before. Until that morning, I would have sworn every stone was still there. It felt as though an entirely new memory had appeared overnight, as if my mind had suddenly accepted that the stone had always been missing. I genuinely can't explain it. Has anyone else ever experienced something like this? A place changing followed by memories changing to match it? Was it just my brain filling in the blanks, or could this be an example of a timeline shift or something similar? I would love to hear your thoughts because it's honestly been bothering me ever since. Love what you're doing, Andy. Sending big love from Ireland. I love you too. The end. Okay, you're right. It's definitely giving timeline shift. I don't know. The fact that you guys felt like you were being watched from like the other side of the circle, I don't know if that's just because like the stone was missing and then you felt weird and uneasy and like that built on it, you know what I mean? And it was really dark, but maybe there was something there. Maybe there was something there. Maybe there were spirits there. Or have you ever, I think one of my questions would be, have you ever been here at night before? Because I know that you said that you walk there every morning, I think you said. You do this walk twice a week. Okay, you didn't say if it was morning. So I don't know if you normally do the walk during the day and now this is the first time you've done it at night. Because if it is the first time you've done it at night, that's weird. The fact that it was silent and there were no noises, like not even bug noises, that always says to me that something unnatural or supernatural is in the area. So the no sounds, the fact that you felt like you were being watched and you were kind of seeing shadows on the rocks with your phone lights, that says something was there. I wonder if there's like something there, like, I was going to say something that protects the stones, but that doesn't make sense because why was one of the stones missing all of a sudden? It's possible that something was there that was not a friendly thing and perhaps you somehow died and switched into a timeline, had a quantum immortality event, switched into a timeline in which you didn't die, but there was one stone missing. Because that part, the fact that the stone is missing says timeline shift. The fact that you woke up and your brain was like, no, that stone, like the memory was put in there that stone has been missing for a year. That's weird too, man. That's really weird too. What are you guys getting? Let me know in the comments. Are you getting that there was some kind of entity or something was there? Are we getting that there was a timeline shift because of the missing stone? And what do we make of the fact that a memory was put in there that the stone had always been missing? Because was that just your brain trying to because that happens to me a lot, right? Like when I'm having deja vu or I swear that I remember something a certain way, and then my brain will be like, no, it's what if it's always been like that and you just didn't notice? So I don't know if that is your brain doing that or if in all those instances, it's just your brain trying to make sense of, or maybe it was a timeline shift. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure here, but I would love to hear everybody's opinions in the comment section. And thank you so much for sharing your story.